Hi there! Coming up next, I will show you a video introduction about WorkCAD3, the new software that has developed encryption to control those devices that we have located in our network. In the first place, I'm going to explain how the installation works. We only have to double-click on the executable, and once the program is installed, we will search for the WorkCAD3 folder. Located in the program files, we will find two executables. From one side, we have the player that launches the layouts that we already have created. On the other hand, we have the layouts editor that will allow us to create them. I will double-click on the later to see how pops up a window that offers two options to work. On the one hand, we have the setup devices that will allow us the device configuration, and on the other hand, the build-up interface, which will allow us to create layouts. When we launch the build interface, we see that appears a wizard that gives us the option to choose the window size. It also gives us the option to choose the target device. We check the device we are going to use to work, and it gives us the option to modify the orientation of our layout, either horizontal or vertical. If we keep moving forward, we see that the wizard appears with the option to choose the style we will use to work. We start using a default style, although the styles are completely configurable by the user. If we move forward, we will have a blank project, a project where we are going to create a layout from scratch. Let's create a simple layout so you will begin to familiarize yourself with the WorkCAD3 environment. I'll explain how at the top we have the toolbar where the options are associated with any software, and below we will find the bar WorkCAD3 Tools, and I'm going to explain what we will find on it. First, we have the button that will add widgets and devices in our layout. If we click on it, we have a toolbox where we can choose different options. We have devices that are well known for all of us. We have widgets that are elements that we will be able to include in the layout, such as buttons, encoders, faders. We have many options. We have audio elements like an equalizer, a group, a limiter, a crossover, utilities, servers, etc. We have different options. We can choose many. If we continue to advance on the toolbar, we will see how we could open a layout, we could save it, we could zoom on the page in which we locate the page to the window size. We can group elements or we can ungroup them. We can make a certain elements rise or lower in our hierarchy. If we keep moving forward, we see how we can adjust or align elements both up and down, left or right, and we can do a test. We can launch that layout, so we will see how it will look. If we continue to advance in our working environment, we see that in the right side of it, we find a window where appears the actions that are going to be associated with every element we have included in our layout. Right now, we only have an action window, but once we include devices, it will automatically appear. When we click on it, a window will include all those parameters that we can modify or control a certain device. In a lower part, we will find two tabs. The first one serves to display and modify all those characteristics associated with a particular element. And at the bottom of this tab, we will find another one that will serve to view and modify actions and parameters that are associated to a particular element or device. On the left side of the working environment, we will find the Device tab, where will appear devices that we have included in the layout. At the top of the Devices window, we find the Project Inspector, where it will appear all those elements that we include in our layout. As we can see, there is an option of adding pages from a certain layout. We can have several of them. As I said, Let's make a simple example, so you can see more or less how it will work. I'm going to teach you first what it is about. As you can see, I just launched, and it is a fader that controls the volume of the BLR at the same time associated with a label that will show us the level we have at each moment in the fader. We close the window and we close the project to create it now from scratch. We click on New Project. Again, we see the wizard. We're going to launch. Since we have explained how it works, I will have a new project. The first thing we are going to do is about adding the elements for this layout. We will go to the tab to add them, and in the toolbox, in widgets, we search fader and drag it on the layout. As you can see, the way it works is very simple. We only have to drag the elements or devices to the page where we find the layout, and the widget will automatically appear in the project inspector. Let's also add the label that will show us the value we added. And as we can see in the project inspector, these two elements that we have dragged appeared. It should also be mentioned that it is important to say that the inspector project will respect the hierarchy in which we are working. I added the fader to a page, and in the pre-inspectors, it will look like that fader and that label are included in that page if it has been done inside the panel. Then we will have the page, the panel, and within that panel, we will have the label and the fader. I do not want to complicate things either. Let's go little by little. The next thing we are going to do is add the device we want to control. Like I said, it is a BLR. We display the devices tab, and in blue line we find the BLR. Let's choose the BLR2 Lite. We drag it on the layout and automatically appears on the devices tab. If we click on it, as I said before, they are going to look like all those actions and parameters that we can control in that device. What we're going to do now relates the fader to the label so that when we modify the value that we have on it, it appears reflected on the label and it will be associated with a BLR. So let's give it a minimum value of like -1000 and the maximum value of 3. And we will include the action we want to associate the fader. Let's check. Set text to element. Drag it on the fader, and automatically, if we are going to the Actions and Parameters tab, we will find the following options. We could give a name to that action, an event consisting in adding a text, yet elements will be produced when there is a change in value. In the fader and the target on which we are working, we can predict manually, or we can choose it moving on the layout, and automatically the elements that do not appear masked on gray are going to be those that we can associate with this action. That's it. We will click on the label, and now we will have it associated with the set text to label action. What we're going to do next is associate the fader with the BLR. For doing this, we will click on the BLR, so it will appear the parameter we want to change, as the one we need is the master control fader. What we have to do is to drag that parameter on the item you want to govern. So that if we click again on the fader, and we are going now to the Actions and Parameters tab, we are going to see the parameters we have dragged. Dragged event is going to be produced by a change of value that it's associated with BLR2 Lite. And the parameter we control is the master volume. Then what we will have to do is to synchronize the BLR to our network. To do this, click on Device. We will do it on each configuration tab. And on Link, we could include synchronizing the device in this network either through the MAC, which we know, or by name of the same, and also we should direct a connection from the type UDP. Let's launch in Layout to see how it will look. We save it, and as we can see, we have a fader that controls the volume of the BLR, and the level of this fader is constantly reflected in the label we have included below it. So thank you very much. I hope this example has been useful for you.